Books are one of the most valuable assets that we have as artists. Not only can they be used in a self-taught environment, they can be a tool we utilize time and time again. But there are so many art-related books, and they inhabit so many categories. It can be downright intimidating to try to find the one that suits your needs. So I am going to start off by going over the categories of art books from my perspective and give you a couple great samples. In future videos, I will be going through batches for each category, focusing on what those books individually bring to the table. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe and stay tuned. I like to break art books down into 3 categories, with a 4th subcategory at the end that we will touch upon. These groups loosely are how-to books, art of books, and art from books. The differences here being that the first category specifically teaches how to do a thing, the second is the art of a specific artist, and the third is the art from a particular thing, usually a game, film, or series of some kind. Let's take a look at the first category. For our example in how-to books, I have How to Draw by Scott Robertson, with the subtext, drawing and sketching objects and environments from your imagination. This book has some wonderfully detailed portions, focusing on specific tools at the beginning and starting off with the fundamentals of drawing in 3-dimensional space, even practicing the art of drawing simple straight lines at the beginning. The book is fairly rigorous and scientific in its approach, but it covers an incredibly large amount of information, and if you are capable of sticking to a book for a long time, managing your own time, and working very hard, this book alone may launch you tremendously forward in your art journey. How-to books in general are like this, though not all are going to be quite as detailed or as mechanical in their approach. Others may focus on a specific thing, such as drawing perspective, learning anatomy, drawing characters from imagination, or even something as insular as drawing cats. The best part about how-to books is that they are focused. You know what you are getting, you know what to expect, and likely you will get far more than what you paid for. The beautiful part about a $20 to $30 book is that likely it will take you 30 to 100 hours to move through it. That is probably more time than you would spend in a class over the course of a semester for a tenth or less of the cost. The value here is clear. The second category of book is art of. I would like to show you one of my favorite examples. This is Dibujante Nocturno, roughly translated as Night Draftsman. It is the art of Francisco Garces, a prominent Spanish illustrator. This may be my favorite living artist. The way he breaks down living forms and wonderful fantasy creatures like dragons in traditional and digital media is phenomenal. In addition, the fact that he works in both traditional and digital media means I have many different things I can look into as a reader and a viewer. In this book, he goes over his art journey, displaying work from his early career, his learning phases, and then moving into more current day. The chapters focus on specific subject matters after that point, finally landing on workflow. For me, not only is the art beautiful, but the illustrations and information provide a template that I can look into, if not outright follow. I can gain a lot from a book like this simply by absorbing the information and images on the page. If you take a book like this and try to literally follow the guidelines of the artist, try to follow their path, who knows what you might be capable of. At the end of the day though, whether it is a roadmap or inspiration, this book is one of my favorites. Books in this genre and the art of category can bring many things like this to the table. My favorites all show what the artist's work looked like in the early days, a massive benefit for young artists. It is always helpful to see that these pros started off less fantastic than they are now. We all know this in the back of our minds, but we sometimes forget, or willfully refrain from acknowledging it. Additionally, the artists usually talk about how they work, the tools they use, and their process from start to finish. This can, again, demystify the artwork, making it more accessible to many. This category is chock full of thousands of wonderful books, and I will certainly be hitting some in future videos. My example from the third category is Creating a Champion, the art of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It walks through so many intricate components, how the armor was put together, concept art for enemies, and detailed maps of locations. A book like this is a piece of art, something that people in the old days would have set on a coffee table so that visitors and guests could thumb through it and admire the beauty. For artists, a book like this has clear value beyond the enjoyment it brings. This book gives thousands of tiny images about how the game was designed, and if you have any desire to make your own game, build a fantasy world, be a game master for Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinders, or any related hobby, a book like this has value for you. It can give you an idea how things are built from the ground up, the process of game development in a loose sense, but can also give you hundreds of ideas to build from, tiny hits of inspiration for your journey ahead. Some of these books are going to contain much more than others. This particular one is expansive and I love it, but others have much less that I find useful. I love the Monster Hunter games, for example, and own most of the art books, but many of them are over 50% armor and clothing designs, and I am really far more interested in the creatures, in the monsters. This is a me thing, but in this category, more than the other two, it is beneficial to look for reviews, or to get your hands on a copy before you spend your hard-earned money. I purchase this category of book the least frequently, because its value is always a toss-up. Most of the time these books are fun, and that is really their chief aim. The others have specific purpose and give additional inspiration. The final ancillary subcategory is more of a books about the concepts behind art. These are valuable, even fun, but they do not tie into much of what I will be talking about here. There are many books like The War on Art that the Draftsman podcast has covered, so if you would like to see more of that, even some reviews of these books, go check out Stan and Marshall on the Draftsman podcast. These 3.5 categories are useful for me when I think about art books. As I move forward, I will be going over the specific categories and introducing some of my favorite picks from that category. We are blessed to live in a day and age where it has become so much easier to find art books and for artists to publish their books. Yes, we have videos, we have online classes, but for many people, books are not only more accessible, they are cheaper in the long run. I hope this breakdown was helpful, and I would love to hear about your favorite art books in the comments below. The next book video will be covering some of the most helpful how-to art books, so please subscribe and stay tuned for that. Well, have a good one, y'all. See you soon.